I didn't realize how enjoyable it was to teach others until I started doing it. And I think just seeing other people succeed and knowing that you get to be a part of it has been so valuable to me.
Today, I'm excited to welcome Noah Waech to the show. Now, Noah, as you'll hear, has a lot of experience in sort of in the manufacturing world and got a lot of Lean and Six Sigma and continuous improvement experience. And so we really just sort of talk about his journey with Lean. We get into kind of how he began and how he first drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. It's always fun to hear people's sort of origin stories. And then we kind of just get into some nuts and bolts of his journey. And we start about talking about like sometimes some successful endeavors that he's had with continuous improvement. And we even talk about some times that he struggled along the way and the things that he's learned about that. And then sort of at the end, we kind of get into like some fun Lean Geek stuff, like your favorite tool and what you like most about continuous improvement. So this was a lot of fun to record. I think you're going to like it. Show notes can be found over at gembapodcast.com. This is episode 616, so 616. Gembapodcast.com. Look for episode 616. Okay, enough from me. Let's get to the show. Noah, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing, Ron? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm well. All right. Where are you calling in from?
I'm here in Johnson Creek, Wisconsin, just outside of Milwaukee.
Okay. So. Badgers or what
Yep. Badgers. I went to school at Milwaukee School of Engineering, so I like the Bucks and the Brewers and, obviously the Packers.
Okay.
So, yeah, big fan of Wisconsin sports.
All right. Good stuff. Well, I grew up, I'm in Texas now, but I actually grew up in Ohio. So you might get an idea of where my allegiance. I'm all Buckeyes, and my kids are all been born and raised in Texas, but they're all Buckeyes. So
for sure,
it's easy to be a Buckeye fan lately. My kids have grown up in kind of a good era. I was like, well, you don't know pain like I've known pain over the years. We've all experienced pain, but
for sure. So I wasn't going to share that, but my dad and my older brothers are all Michigan fans. So
boy, yeah.
In spite of them, I grew up as a Buckeye fan because of my dad and my brothers. Yeah. So
you wanted to spite them or what?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So it's worked out pretty well for me. Across my lifetime. So nice. I actually got to go to the Badgers versus Ohio State game. So
nice.
That was a fun one to be at.
That's great. Yeah. Everybody always talks about like last year, Ohio State won the national championship, and I'm like, yeah, still lost to Michigan though.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather beat them and lose a national championship game. It's insane as that sounds, but I really would, I think. Anyhow, enough college football. All right. Well, hey, Noah, we like to begin all of our episodes with our guests sharing a quote. So what do you got?
Yeah. So one of the quotes that I, really try to pay attention to is the most dangerous kind of waste is the waste we do not recognize, by Shigeo Shingo. And I think that one is just super, important to me because, I've spent my entire career figuring out how to identify waste, and not everyone has that experience. So what can I do to help others see waste? Because what I've found is that most people, if they identify something as waste, they're going to naturally work towards trying to eliminate it. But when they don't see it as being wasteful, then there's nothing that's prompting them to, work towards eliminating it. So I think that's probably the most influential quote on my career.
Yeah, it's good. And I even wonder though, for folks that are practicing and have been at it like you for a long time, if it's still possible to, which we know it is, to just miss it, right? Like,
totally.
You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like that quote could also go to the veteran, sort of lean thinker, and that none of us are immune from standing in a circle, really, and just deeply observing,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely, over time, we can get very complacent with things. And so it's always good to kind of shift around and look at things from different perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah. Like with the movie where there's dead people everywhere. There's waste everywhere. It's like, all
Right.
you gotta do is drive down the road and you'll start seeing it, right? So,
Definitely.
all right. Well, hey, Noah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your background and how you first got involved in all this continuous improvement stuff.
Yeah, so this is always something that I really like to ask people, especially interns and co-ops, when I'm interviewing them, is like, how did you get into industrial engineering? And what I found is that most people will have some sort of story from early on in their life. And for me, it started with one of the Project Lead the Way courses in middle school, where we were given a customer demand to make a chair. And so one of the other students in the class got to write what their odd demands were for this chair. And I just remember that project vividly, thinking about what the customer wanted, and then we got to use all sorts of different materials to go ahead and build this, and then we got to present to the class, and that kind of kicked off my um, interest in STEM and engineering and whatnot. And then in high school, I stopped taking foreign language and instead took as many manufacturing classes, learned how to weld and um, you know machine and you know everything along that line. And then um, in college, I didn't really know that industrial engineering was a course or a field, and so I started in mechanical engineering. My first week on campus, I learned about industrial engineering, and I realized, whoa, this is like what I've been doing my entire life. I didn't realize that could be a full time job, and so I switched right away, and have been super blessed with all of the opportunities that I've had. So yeah, that's kind of where my journey began, through school and whatnot. And then, in terms of work, I worked in medical manufacturing, and now I work in construction equipment. Um, so lots of good
Mhm.
opportunities to make improvements. I love manufacturing, and the smell of cutting oil and weld spatter, and it is always exciting to be out on the floor.
Yeah. So I understand you got a story about a time that you were, I don't know, maybe you were being asked to sort of help teach people about lean, and I don't know. I assume maybe there's things that you learned from that. Can you tell us about that experience?
For sure. Yeah. So, here I am, a brand new engineer, just graduated college. I'm at my first job, and I'm tasked with improving the output on some of our packaging lines. And so go out there, observe with the operators. I'm 3 or 4 months out of college, and the process that the operators are following, major batch flow um, production. And so I go and I find, the Gemba Academy, Ron Pereira, video, single piece flow where, you're
Envelopes.
stuffing the envelopes, and
Yeah.
I go this. And so the product that we had was very similar to a piece of paper. It was a large flat sheet thermoplastic, and so it was very similar process where we're taking that sheet and we're packaging it in cardboard. But I was thinking to myself, this is perfect. We're going to watch this video, and the operators are going to be like, wow, this relates exactly to the packaging process that we're following. And so I'm super excited that everything's going to go perfect. We watch the video, and I think at the end you challenge the listeners to how does this relate to your own process. And we watch the video, and the operators go, there's no way that this relates to
Yeah.
our
We don't stuff
packaging
envelopes.
process. And so I like go home that night, like, I can't believe that like I clearly saw the, how this video related to what we were doing. And so the next day, I'm working with operators. I go, you know what? Let's just run an experiment. I'm gonna package using this one piece flow method, and then we'll have someone else package in the traditional batch, and let's just do it for an hour, and let's see who can do it faster. And so the first hour passed by, and I had packaged more boxes. So then they were like, well, I don't really think that's sustainable. Can you do it for a second hour? So then I stayed out there for a second hour. And then next thing you know, we had worked the whole shift and we did the math and figured out could, who made more, packages. And they, by the end of the day, they were like, you know what? I see your point here. This is much faster. And so, it was a very good experience early on in my career for, hey, we can, teach in a classroom, or we can, talk through different
Mhm.
theories and whatnot. But at the end of the day, going out on the floor and, putting it to practice together, is ultimately what's going to get people on board and, thinking the same way, that I'm thinking. So I thought you might like that story.
So yeah, it can be a lot of fun working with those hands-on simulations. So, all right. Well, next question I have for you is, I'm wondering, you've been at it for a little while, and all of us who teach people, there's certain things that, I don't know, we like a lot, and there's maybe some things that we don't like so much to teach. And I'm wondering, maybe we'll start positive. Like, what are some things that you enjoy most about teaching others about all this Lean and Six Sigma stuff?
Yeah, so for me, I've always really enjoyed doing the projects myself and whatnot, and it wasn't until more recently that I've gotten to start teaching others, how to do all of this stuff. And so I didn't realize how enjoyable it was to teach others, until I started doing it. And I think just seeing other people succeed, and knowing that you get to be a part of it has been so valuable to me. Like I think that is very fulfilling. It's very good. You feel like you're doing good. The first time that I ever had a yellow belt, candidate, complete a project and thank me for the support that I provided them, and the direction that I gave them. Um, I felt like I wasn't just doing a project to make the company better. I was also, changing someone else's life, which
Mm,
makes me feel very good. The other thing too that I would mention is, one of the reasons that, continuous improvement or lean Six Sigma fails is oftentimes, you know, a lean practitioner will go in and make an improvement, and then, they'll move on to the next issue, and they never involved the people that own that process, and so it struggles to sustain. And so being able to teach others, I feel very confident that when I leave to move on to a different process, those people are then capable of sustaining
yeah.
and maintaining that gain. So I think that that's super important as well.
Hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, when you're building your project teams, involve them, right? Like, have them be part of the actual team. That way, they've got skin in the game, right? As far
Totally.
as making the buy-in, it's their ideas, and they helped come up with it. So, yeah, no, that's fantastic. I'm wondering, like, maybe on the flip side, or are there, I don't know, things that, can you think of an example of, I don't know, how something didn't go the way that you wanted it to, and um, what you learned from that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges is, there's a lot of people that are, very engaged and want to learn more, but then you also deal with people that, maybe don't, aren't as interested or not as, focused on it as you. And so that can always be a challenge, um, and could be tough sometimes. But, you know, what I found is some of the most rewarding, people to work with are the people that might be, the toughest on you.
Yeah.
And there's almost like a sense of pride, or like
Yeah.
a badge of pride, working with someone who, maybe when you originally start working with them, other people might warn you and be like, hey, don't work with that person because they're
Yeah.
tough to work with. Or last time I did a project with them, they try to sabotage it or things like that. And they're a negative Nelly, and slowly working with them to make
Yeah.
their day to day better has, it's very challenging, and in the time, it can be very tough. But when you crack them and you get them on your side and working
Yeah.
together, I think that is super rewarding,
Hmm.
and and beneficial. So I know sometimes it's really tough, but
Yeah.
pushing through and breaking the code on that is valuable.
Yeah, I've told this story before on the podcast. So some longtime listeners are probably sick of hearing it, but I call them cave people, citizens against virtually everything.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I remember, I'll just never forget this story. And again, I've told this a number of times over the years, but there was a time where I was working this is prior to Gemba Academy. I was just back in my corporate days, and I was working in this area, and there was a cave person. I mean, this dude was not down with being part of it. He was like, it was like a Kaizen event or something like that. And he was sort of like voluntold, that he was going to have to be on the team or all the rest of it. And just, you could tell, man, did not want to be there and wasn't feeling it and all the rest of it. And so my style was never to sort of like pick on people or, force them into anything or anything. So I just kind of, in the beginning, I wouldn't say ignored him, but I was just like not bothered by his scowl on his face or anything like that. I didn't let it sort of impact me or anything. And slowly as the day went on, I would just once in a while kind of just throw something over to him, like a night question, or what do you think about that? Or whatever. And slowly they started kind of coming into the team. And by the end, it was fully engaged. And by the end of the event, it was all great. And we did the report out and all the rest of it. And he was part of it. And I'll never forget, he came up to me at the end. It was just me and him. And the guy like literally had tears welling up in his eyes. And he said, no one's ever listened to me like this team listened to me this week. And I was like, wow, and so I
Right.
didn't go into it like, well, yeah, you were super negative, but,
Totally.
but I feel like you just never know, right? What kind of sort of like, because there's some people who do lean to people, right? And that they're bad, right? Like that's doing more
Hmm.
damage to continuous improvement than just sort of like ignoring people, right? Like, so you don't want to ever do this to people, but do it with people and gently pull them forward. And like you said, you get those folks who don't seem to be on board. Once you do sort of convert them over to our side, so to speak, man, they're the best, because like that gentleman, like he had deep knowledge on how this process worked. He'd been there for a long time. He'd seen everything, and without that knowledge, our team wouldn't have been able to succeed like we did. So
Definitely. There was one time I was out, doing a time study, and I was doing some observations, and yeah, there was an employee who had been there a long time, and I'm observing, and I think he knew that some changes were going to come to that area of the assembly line. And so, he kind of calls me out. He goes, "You an engineer?" And I was like, "Yep, I am." I don't think we've met. I'm Noah. And he goes, "I doubt that you've ever turned a wrench in your life." And I was
mm,
like, "Well, I have." I was like, "You know what? Can I work with you at this workstation?" And he goes, I don't think you can get your hands dirty. I don't think you'll know how to do it, but sure, let's give it a try." So I spent the rest of the day with him working on the line, and he goes, "Hey, you should come back tomorrow and do the station in front of us." He goes, "I've never had an engineer take me up on that offer to work with me." And so I ended up working the two stations in front of that and the station after that. And, as we prepared to make these changes, he was one of my biggest,
yeah,
like, change supporters. And, I had other people, asking how, like, normally he's against every change that we do. How did you get him to, support all of the changes that you've made? And it was really just, you know, getting the opportunity to learn from him and to, talk to him, and really just, you know, being different,
yeah.
in terms of, being humble enough to just go, "You know what, I am going to work on this process." And I think I got anti-seize all over my quarter zip, and I had to throw it out and whatnot, but it was completely worth it because the rest of the process, the rest of the project was totally worth that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's there's so much like, I don't know, human behavioral analysis that needs to be done with continuous improvement. And I would say it's a weakness really in our movement that so many people don't work to better, I don't know, interact with people, right? Like it's not even about the tools are easy. We got videos on any tool you ever need. Don't worry about the tools, but focus
Hmm.
your energy on interacting with people and don't be a jerk, and understand personality types, right? Like Myers-Briggs and things like that. I feel like those are some of the most important things for, continuous improvement practitioners to deeply understand the human behavior behind all this stuff, because 5S, 7 ways, value stream mapping, quick changeover, easy. We got a video, follow those steps, you'll get it. But what I can't necessarily teach you always on a video is, how not to be a jerk and how not people to run away when they see you coming around the corner, right? Because it doesn't matter how good you are at value stream mapping. If people can't stand you, then you're going to have problems, right?
For
So,
sure.
yeah. And even in our education system, I think, unfortunately, like a lot of times, in your engineering schools, I mean, how much time did they spend? I mean, I'm sure they did some. I'm not trying to knock your school, but because I had the same thing, right? It's like not
Hmm.
enough time on the human behavioral side, but a lot of time on how to run a stopwatch and, and all the
For
rest of it.
sure.
So yeah, that's the hard part of continuous improvement, the people side.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So maybe to sort of kind of help wrap things up, I'm wondering do you have like an aspect of continuous improvement or lean or Six Sigma or whatever that's sort of like your jam, like your favorite, like when you're working in this part of it or this tool or some aspect of it that you just really feeling it?
Yeah, yeah. So I think for me, like my favorite tool is value stream mapping, and we've done um, this is something that I've done across a lot of the North American facilities is facilitate and lead the value stream mapping workshop. And one of the big things or one of the issues that I find is that oftentimes people are very good at fixing problems within their own department, and the value stream mapping tool and the workshop, more importantly, is getting all of these different departments together
Mm,
and talking about the same problems, because a lot of the most important problems that the company is facing is cross-functional. There's multiple groups that are involved, and so when we get everyone into the workshop, and it's always very important. I always start the workshop off with the ground rules, like we're going to be very easy on the people and very hard on the process, and so
mm,
we're creating a blame-free environment. And when everyone in the workshop is following those ground rules, we have very productive discussions and conversations, people finally having an aha moment going, oh, what I'm doing here, has an effect on this other department that I didn't even know about. And I've just found that many times over, those are very productive conversations and
mm.
very eye-opening for everybody involved. So I think for me, that tool has been so beneficial to the company. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
definitely the most important to me.
And I know he didn't invent a tool, but hat tip to our friend Mike Rother and uh, Jeff Liker for Learning to See. I think that was the first one of the first sort of lean books that I really devoured back in the day. The blue workbook, Learning to See how
Hmm.
to value stream map. And again, they didn't invent it, but I feel like they popularized it in the West for sure.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. And then you go on to the red book and then the blue book and you get all the books, right? You get
Oh
all the
yeah.
green book. And
Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
My wife doesn't like that they're all next to the fireplace. I go, this is my jam. This is
Wow.
what I
Oh, your
live and breathe.
fireplace. That's next level, man. I don't know if I've ever heard of that. My wife would not let me hit my value stream mapping books by my fireplace, but you got a great wife. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, man, this has been a lot of fun, Noah. Hey, do you have any sort of like final words of wisdom or final things that you want to leave with the folks listening?
Yeah, I guess, something that one of our safety managers always talks about is people work to the level of expectation that is expected out of them. And I think that that's so important, always have high expectations, and continually try to raise the bar. And when we do that, great things can come. So I think that,
Nice.
that's always stuck with me.
Nice. I like it. Hey, if people wanted to connect with you, what's the best way?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. So Noah Waech, Waech. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Great. And we'll link everything up in the show notes. This is going to be, episode 616. So go connect with Noah and thank him for coming on to the show. But hey, man, this has been a lot of fun, and you stay warm up there.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you very much, Ron.
All right, you take care.
Yep, bye.
Thanks for listening. Whether you've been on the continuous improvement journey for many years, or perhaps you're just getting started, Gemba Academy is here to support you. And while we're best known for our more than 1,500 Lean and Six Sigma teaching and virtual tour videos, we also have a team of experienced Lean and Six Sigma practitioners available for one-on-one coaching, as well as a variety of Lean and Six Sigma certification options. To learn more and to schedule a demo, head on over to GembaAcademy.com.